You're listening to the Spandex Power Armour podcast. It's on the internet, so it must be true.
Hello and welcome to the Spandex Power Armour podcast. In this special episode, we have the guys from Toku Toy Store with us. How do you do, gents?
Doing great.
Yeah, well, not too bad.
Excellent.
One advantage of this is they can finally do their own promos, so we don't need to keep talking about some apocalypse where we have to use Ranger keys as currency.
They only pay us in Ranger keys.
Even then, that supply is running low.
You get
Excellent,
Ranger
I'm not
keys?
paying you at all.
I got an envelope full of cute armor stickers.
We can't buy milk with these.
Our babies will starve.
That sounds awful, just like incomplete Ranger key stickers as your currency.
It is the worst thing. Imagine getting that from a broken gashapon.
Excuse me,
Sounds,
can I get some milk? All I've got is like 3 Ranger key heads and a sticker. Is that enough?
you just taped them all together to create like one weird monstrosity. It's a collector's edition.
I think this is Theresa May's version of welfare.
I'd like to know what actually happened to get us to the point where Ranger keys were an acceptable currency other than anything else in the world.
The event.
We don't talk about the event.
Please remain indoors.
Oh lord, okay. Yeah. I would ask you to elaborate, but I'm worried about the answer.
So what would you guys like to say about your lovely establishment / web presence thingamabob?
I would like to say that mainly the reason that I started Toku Toy Store in the first place was that frustrated with being unable to bring in Toku toys into the country cheaply, having to deal with inordinate import taxes. I wanted to find another way to do that, and there was no real outlet for that. So I created one, and now we provide a service where, by virtue of buying everything in bulk and getting things brought into the country in large quantities, those import taxes are shared across many items, and that means that the cost of items is brought down for the consumer. So that was the main reason I started Toku Toy Store, and now it's turned into how many friends and Toku fans can I collect on the way and generally annoy with my incessant ramblings.
So you're capitalist Forza then?
That's fantastic.
Capitalist Forza, yeah.
That sounds amazing.
I'm going to make customers out of everyone at this convention.
That should be our underlying slogan, just like, capitalist Forza. That's a pretty good way of putting that, actually. I like that.
I'll have to make a dank meme of it.
Yeah, you will have to, yeah, for sure.
Who would have thought that in spending more money, you actually save money?
Capitalism.
Woo!
Well, that's the trick, isn't it? I mean, you see a lot with other stores. They do, like, as Jeremy was saying, trying to spread the cost. Because, again, before I even found the store, you find so many people bringing in, like, 1 or 2 toys here and there, but the collective price of customs added almost as much as the toy cost on top of it. So you sat there thinking, okay, so I've spent, let's say, 40 quid on this toy, but realistically it's 80 quid because I just had to pay to get it into the country. Because sometimes you get really cheap toys that are really cheaply made, but they're big.
Importing is a nightmare.
Exactly, that ruins so much of the joy for it. I remember one of the first things I imported was a Deca driver, and I only spent like 25-30 quid on it, and I was like, that's a bargain. But then I got hit with a customs charge of double that. So I'm sat there at the end of the day with like 80-90 quid for a Deca driver, and I'm like, I'm never going to get this money back. So it was unfortunate.
See, I feel like I'm the only one who never had an issue with import tax. I suppose the biggest thing I ever bought was a figure art. Most of what I got was like Godzilla DVDs from the US.
You'll find that sometimes when the price on the item itself, when the price is over, I'm not sure what they changed it to recently. Last time I checked, it was 30. But I think they brought it down a little bit. But those items that are large and over a value of 30 do tend to be hit quite hard. It's random selection. Some days you could buy yourself a new car and it would make it in with no problem. And then the next day you buy yourself a tiny little gimmick, and someone just decides at the head office, oh, we'll ruin their day for them. And it's obnoxious.
It's just been lucky, I guess.
Talk about unlucky.
Actually, this is how the apocalypse started. Somebody bought an Astro Switch and was charged the import tax for a car.
It's a rare, limited edition, damaged sticker on a Gashapon Ranger key, and so that jacked the economy up.
I know Putin tried to import something from tried to import some obscure thing from Japan, from like a Gridman or something, and the import tax was so big he just decided to launch his nuclear stockpile in revenge.
He wanted a Battle Cossack body pillow.
Yet I must have it. It is too expensive. And yet
it's like somebody that pushes it to the limit. They've got like, oh, we have this rare limited edition pink Bioman key, and it's like, oh, that's amazing. Yes, but it was supposed to be red. What? It's like, oh yeah, it's limited edition because it was printed in it was made in the wrong color. What? Wait a minute.
Was left in the sun for a bit.
But the multiple colors already exist, so someone just believed it.
Mental. So anyway, this will be a general discussion where we talk, complain about just about anything we have to mind.
Oh boy, does that mean I can talk about Red Baron again?
No, we're not talking
No.
about Red Baron again.
Oh,
If we did, we'd be here all week.
He loves his Red Baron.
I hate Red Baron.
It was pretty well received in Japan. It got a proper anime adaptation. You're just disappointed because of the weird German...
The Germans ruined everything like they ruined Europe.
No offense, he's saying about being well received in Japan. So was the PlayStation Vita, and look how that turned out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so was a Dreamcast too.
Yeah,
And then
that's
again,
true.
Big O wasn't well received in Japan, but it did really well overseas.
Japan confirmed for bad taste. Didn't
definitely.
Toonami actually fund the second series for Big O?
Wow.
Wow, I didn't know that, but that's wow.
Yeah, because it did so well. It was actually made by the same studio who did a lot of the stuff from the Batman the Animated Series, which is why they look so similar.
Wow, I did not know that. Oh wow,
Yes.
you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
We should do an educational podcast full of weird anime facts.
Yeah, oh god.
You're listening to the Weeaboo Power Armour. It's a better podcast.
Well, you know,
Please make the
someone's
pain
going to have to
stop.
come up with some horrible artwork for that now. You realise that, right? There should be
The
like an April
DeviantArt.
Fool's version.
Oh no, it's going to be some really bad, like 15-year-old anime rendition of Rex and me, like with the whole
Tiny
yaoi
body,
hands
big
thing.
eyes. Yeah. Oh,
Holding hands.
dear God. Tiny body, massive eyes that
Desu.
overlap your hair.
Goo.
I fear we have gone into some terrible, terrifying
Yeah.
tangent.
What just happened?
We descended into Weebery.
We have to leave this rabbit hole quick.
So, what was the first Toku thing you guys got into? Like the first show?
I'll go first. So obviously Power Rangers is the gateway drug to all tokusatsu.
Oh yeah.
And I was into that from the moment it came out and I saw it on television. But then in growing up, I kind of phased out of that for a little while. And when I got back into it, it was around the time of Ninja Storm. And the internet took me down another rabbit hole whereby I found Abba Ranger that was going on in Japan at the time.
Nice.
Abba Ranger was my first Sentai, my first pure tokusatsu. And from there I went into Kamen Rider Fies, and then my life was forever changed.
That is a slippery slope.
Forever ruined.
So that's quite a straightforward path. That mine was accidental. I
Are you
obviously
saying that something you did isn't straightforward, Will?
yes. Be quiet, Jeremy. No, I don't quite know. Because obviously, like Jeremy said, I watched a lot of Power Rangers growing up. I followed that for a while. I never really phased out of that. I mean, you found that I was like an 18, 19-year-old and I was getting into new relationships. And within like week 2, I was showing them all these Power Rangers videos on YouTube. And no, but I mean, mine never ended. I just found people who actually liked them. Fortunately, I was gifted with dashing good looks and a very nice accent. So it did help when I moved down here. But I don't know. I watched Power Rangers and then I got to the point where I stopped. When Power Rangers got bad, you know, that more recently, I
You have to
stopped.
specify, actually.
Well, I was around 20 at the time, I think, and I forget what season was on around then, but the acting was bad, the special effects were bad, and they'd gone down that path.
Doesn't
where it was
quite
more
narrow it
about
down.
toys. See, I would offhand, I wouldn't even know, but like I said, I stopped watching. And I ended up looking up shows that were similar to Power Rangers. Like I would literally go on Google and type in shows similar to Power Rangers or shows like Power Rangers. And I found there's a Wikipedia for a lot of tokusatsu, but there was one that I'd found. I think I YouTubed it first. And to this day, I can't remember what it was called. I can never find it ever again. But it was Japanese for definite. It was subtitled, and they transformed one of the main characters. It was like an armored. It looked kind of like the armors from Garo or like a Metal Heroes kind of thing. But he was.
Was it Grand Caesar or something like
I was
that?
thinking
I was
Grand
going to say it sounds Grand Caesar to me.
It might be. You know, I'll have to look this up. You know what? If
Was it
it
like,
is, and I find this.
Oh, what was it called?
I know.
Shogeki Gao.
Shosei Grand
yeah,
Caesar.
yeah.
I'll have to look that up. No, because I know that he was one of the main characters. He was white with like blue accents on his body, and he had like a sword and a shield. And I'd watched that a lot, and I mean a lot. Like I'd binged it, and then I phased out of it. And I couldn't. I don't watch it much anymore. I kind of drifted away within like a year or so. I just stopped watching it. I went back a year later, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this again. And I couldn't remember the name of it, so I'm typing in like armored superheroes that transform with like this kind of stuff, like wrists and belts and all that. So I looked that up, and it fed me straight to the Kamen Rider series. And I
fair enough.
thought, the main character, he's he was white in this show, the white armor that he wore, and I saw Forze. So I was like, maybe that was it. So I click on that and I watch it, and it definitely wasn't it. But I watched the entirety of Forze, and then when I was done, I found out there were many years worth before that, and then new ones coming out just after that. I think I just started watching Forze just as Wizard had reached its halfway point. So I just binge watched all the way up to the end of Wizard, went back in time, and then I caught Gaim as it started, and from there on, I've watched them ever since. Ever since the new ones have come out, I've watched them religiously.
Fair dues. I find that Forze is a good entry point to get people into Kamen Rider for some reason.
Definitely.
I think it's maybe because the school they're in is quite Western for it. Like, it's,
yes.
That was it. Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, as Saban would religiously say, it's a good way of getting people into shows is having them teenagers in a school and all that. And their knowledge is a bit twisted because they try and make 30-year-olds 10-year-olds. But Forze's way of doing that was they made it like an upper school. It was a good way of bringing people into the show. It was nice. It was different, but it was familiar. That's what I'm trying to say.
Japan has no shortage of young actors. They have this whole kind of the idol system, which kind of picks kids up out of high school and then churns them out.
Can we talk about that school from Forze? It is so Western.
Right.
You've got an American football team. You've got cheerleaders. You've got these little cliques that are just so American. It's bizarre.
Wildcats.
You have a locker that transports you to the moon. I mean, Christ, that's just so American.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 1960s. Just a bong in every locker.
Well, yeah, actually, you're not wrong.
It may be about, trying to get that Western audience a bit more, though, because it came, if I'm remembering right, it came around the same time as Go Busters, didn't it? Which was a homage to Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Could be.
Thinking that I don't know, I'm not sure anybody had this kind of forward planning, but by using some Power Rangerisms, they would garner a Western audience, which would then lead them into Forze, which they think, this is vaguely familiar, I'm going to stick with this. Or maybe I'm going to I don't know.
No, I can see that. That's again, I've never thought it like that. I guess it does help to have you forward thinking, but that does make sense. Have both shows familiar so that they tried to engross the same audience. That's
definitely an interesting perspective. It's a shame that Go Busters never took off.
Maybe they wanted to have Forze adapted into America as Saban's Master Rider Space.
See, that's something I never got into Go Busters. I wasn't fully into Sentai around the time it was on, and then I realized there was so much Sentai to enjoy that I didn't go back. But what was the thing they had going on with because they had the first part of Go Busters, unless it was a movie special, because Go Busters itself was a series. But then they had that revisiting where they were all farm animals.
Tokume Sentai Go Busters versus Dobut Sentai Go Busters.
Yeah,
it's
I had no idea.
Basically, Satan comes up in like 2012, New Year's Eve, and kills everyone, but Cheetah Nick and Beat J Stag are left alive because they're like the millionth and 1,000,001th person to die that year. And then God, who looks like Enter, says, "What's up, sluts? You win. You get a free wish. What do you want?" And Nick says something like, "I want to go back and change this," or something like that. And so he's sent back, and somehow they get into this alternate reality where it's like they basically go to like the Sun Vulcan version of Go Busters, and he has to kind of It's a Wonderful Life his way through it and get things back to the way they were.
Isn't this how Happy Science works, though? I swear that was the apocalypse predicted by Happy Science.
No, Margaret Thatcher wasn't involved.
I'm sorry, I get that you explained that, but when you start a sentence when trying to explain Super Sentai, and your first word, as you said, is, well, basically, Satan comes up, and that's... I'm probably never going to watch that now. That's one way of saying it.
Whoa, Satan's too spooky.
Ooh. Look at me, I can't handle the Dark Lord. Ooh. The Prince of Darkness is a bit too much for me.
Oh, come on. You enjoy Saban, though.
Yeah.
There's like one letter's difference. It's Satan's Power Rangers. They're all played by aging 45-year-old actors as teenagers.
Yeah. The main character, who's the granddad of all the main cast, is actually a 15-year-old actor, because that's all the trend these days.
This is like the Mirror Universe version of Power Rangers.
Does that mean Jason David Frank gets a goatee?
Yeah. No, Jason David Frank already has a goatee. Wait, do we have the evil version of Jason David Frank?
Oh.
Are we the evil timeline? Are we the bad guys?
Oh no.
I mean, I do have a pointy beard, so...
Yeah.
Am I evil?
Maybe. Oh, you mean there's an alternate dimension where we have a good podcast? Jason David Frank
No, I
wasn't
doubt
kicked
that.
out of a movie theatre.
There's an alternate timeline in which we're all functional members of society.
Yeah.
Boy, wouldn't that be nice?
Guess we're stuck being evil then.
Did you, speaking of Saban, I'm guessing, I think I must have showed you guys the Ecto accelerator that I got my hands on.
Oh yes,
yeah.
that thing is a beauty.
Really nice condition too.
It's a funny story about that. I'd mentioned that most of the stuff that sold over the weekend at MCon during that convention was Power Ranger stuff. A lot of people came up and were looking for that kind of stuff. So I thought, oh, well, I'll take a look and see. Because, I mean, last time I took a look on eBay for specific things, I found like a box filled with just loads of gimmicks and whatnot. So I just bought it in bulk. So I thought I'll take a look at Power Ranger style stuff. And I was just browsing and I was scrolling through the eBay listings. And I came down and it was marked, its exact name was Power Rangers 5.5 inch 2005 Morpher Thing. And I was like, what? Well, I could clearly see that it was not a morpher by the first image. So I clicked on it and I was scrolling through, and lo and behold, it was a tie between, it was either the Kamen Rider Black shiny tension belt, or it was the Ecto accelerator. So I'm like, well, wow. I'm never going to know unless I buy it. So it was on bidding. It started at $9.99. So I put down a max bid of £13. Waited a couple of days, got my email saying I'd won it, and it was on the way. So I was like, oh boy. So it arrived in the mail, and there's next to no cosmetic damage to it whatsoever.
Amazing.
Both LEDs still blink perfectly like they would have. And the speaker system, as simple as it was, because back then it was just like a high-pitched, like, rape alarm type whistle thing. That's all it was. But it's perfect. Like I looked up reviews for it, and it's no different to what they were when they were new.
Amazing.
And I'm like, I've just spent, I think it was like £12 something on this belt. It was 1995 Ecto accelerator, and it works like it did the day it was made. So I'm looking to find a new home for that, because I bet you someone's going to want that.
That actually reminds me of something Ranger found at, I think it was a Comic-Con in Leicester. It was a bunch of Masked Rider figurines, like tiny figurines from the show, and it was the full set.
Yeah, yes, I had to buy them all.
Yeah, I remember you showed me those a while back. I was jealous. Now who's jealous?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they made a souvenir belt. Wow.
What, sorry, Jeremy?
I liked your little trick that you used on eBay. Like back in the day when I was trying to complete my Morpher collection, that would be how I would get things cheaply. I would search Power Rangers wrist thing, and capitalize on the fact that lots of people didn't know what they were selling.
Yeah,
exactly.
Fair enough.
There was an advert for that. I forget which banking agency it was, but they were trying to tell people how to be internet smart. And they were saying, if you're looking for something online, rather than typing in its name directly, misspell it as if you would accidentally misspell it. Because you'd find listings of things, people are selling things under like wrong names for so much cheaper, and there's a whole lot of them. So sometimes if you go on, like, if you were to go on eBay and type in Kamen Rider and spell it the way it's spelled, you'll find all these official listings from stores and collectors. But if you go on there and accidentally put Kamen, like an M instead of an N at the end of Kamen, and then put an E on the end of Rider, so it's like Rider, you'll find so many more listings for people who are miswriting things and don't know. I saw someone that did it a while back. They had it was a driver, but they'd call it was Carman, spelled like car, C-A-R, and it was Carman Rider. Because they don't know, do they? They have no idea. Like someone says to you, "Oh, it's Kamen Rider," but you're like, "What?" Well, it's a car. It's car based. It's got to be Carman Rider.
Exploiting the dyslexic by Will.
It works though. It's really good when you're a collector. It does help to exploit that little trick. Just misspell it like you would, and you'll find things so much cheaper. Again, I'm the one that sat here with an Ecto accelerator for £12.
No.
So you're saying they misspelled Kamen Rider drivers Carmen, like the name?
Yes.
Where in the world is Kamen Rider Drive?
He's singing again. I've had to hide the kazoo.
Kamen Rider sounds totally different to anything that it actually is.
Yeah, Carmen Electra Rider.
Let's not think about that.
No, that's not a bad idea. Female riders.
Oh, actually, we've had this discussion earlier, but let's talk some more about this. I love female riders.
Yeah, it's. I've got no issue with them. I just don't think that Toei is going to do like a main female rider anytime soon. I think Poppy is a step in the right direction, though. I wouldn't mind.
Are we before we delve into this subject? Are we all up to date with Xaid?
Oh boy!
Oh, good one.
No. That's a yes.
No, we're not. We have entertaining. We have things we like that we like to watch. We keep putting off getting up to date.
Well, the latest. I don't know about you, Jeremy. Are you?
I am TV Nihon up to date.
episode 30 was released. So I won't go too much into it if you're not obviously on that far. But it seems that they've changed the formula. I'm gonna have to look up and see if the writers changed again, because I know this is it's a recurring theme.
Pulling a ghost.
It's a recurring theme that they changed. But yeah, Ghost was for the worst. Like, it started off, there was one writer, and then the second writer, and then they had a third writer by the end, and they didn't know what they were doing, which was a shame, because Ghost could have gone incredibly
It had potential.
It really did. I thought Ghost would have been... Ghost, the gimmicks were great, the acting was great, the casting choices were great, but the story just confused me beyond belief.
You had me until you said the acting and characters were great.
They weren't bad, you got to admit. I know that.
Oh, they were bad. I know Joe's
a slut for Showa era. He wants like all writers to be 40 or 50
He loves him some Showa.
Give me some sideburns, boy.
Oh, come on.
Excuse me, I like watching men. I'm not gay. I just like watching men in tight suits just kind of rub each other and kind of wrestle on the ground.
Listen, I'm sure there's an entire subculture online for that, Joe. You can just go on the internet and find it.
Absolutely no homo.
Rider rather than Kamen Rider.
Yeah, Man Rider. Yeah.
Actually, no, just watch Hentai Kamen.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Anyways, as I was saying before we got really deep in this strange cesspool.
Well, that's our podcast you're talking about.
They're doing no comment. No, they're diving into this now because they've introduced female writers as more of a mainstay again. The latest episode, they had a scene where, like, the guys are going in to do their normal fight, like they do. They walk up all serious looking, but they're all beaten and bruised, and they're about to fight.
Yeah.
But then the girls just step out. You've got Poppy, and you've got that writer Nico. Yeah, they both step out, and they're just like, you guys need to take a break. Poppy's like, I'll take it from here, and then Nico steps up, and it's like, don't you mean we'll take it from here?
Ooh.
The both of them transform, and it's like an all-female fight.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, those brown rider suits.
Oh yeah.
There's a girl with one of those now. She puts like a cap on the front and like a rucksack or something like that. I've seen pictures of it.
She customizes, as she put it, she customizes her avatar, because everyone has a basic ride player avatar. So she's customized her own. She's got like a sticker and a backpack.
But was it DLC?
Yes.
Thanks,
but it's a nice change of pace that we're actually going to have some mainstay. I mean, she's not bad either. She's not one of those ones that loses every battle. There have been a few, like she's channeling through the show, and she's the one that's defeating a lot of the villains now by herself.
Oh, hey, I think I need to catch up with some X-Aid then.
She's good, and she's not like a girly character. She's very like standoffish and boyish, and she's very violent towards some people, and like if she doesn't like you, she'll just tell you to go to hell. And
she was the first ride player to actually defeat one of the monsters in Chronicle.
Oh, crikey.
I saw a clip from a live show, and she's giving Brave a hassle, like she's kind of slapping him or something like that. So he just kind of takes his gashat out of his drive and kind of slots it into his sword and just kind of starts charging it up as he looks at her.
Oh yeah, and she legs it.
Yeah, I love that.
But she is good. That's what she's like in the show. Like a lot of times, she doesn't seem to like anybody other than Taiga. So whenever someone tries to talk to her or talk down to her, she gets aggressive. And whenever someone tells her something what to do, she's pretty much a female version of Taiga. She's a loner, but together they've formed like a duo. So those two hang out a lot.
Oh, fair enough.
But it's a nice change of pace. An entire show based on those two would be amazing.
I am surprised by the amount of V-Cinema releases X-Aid is getting. They really want to get in depth on every rider.
I'm blaming Drive for that one.
I'm blaming Toys for that one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, that was it. I mean, they had Drive, and Drive was a great show, but there wasn't a lot like in depth behind them. So then they had the V-Cinema for Chase, and you had the Mac and Heart, and they kept pushing them out. But the one thing that I didn't mind the latter two, the Mac and Heart one, but the Chase one, with just being an excuse to re-release a new version of the Brake Gunner with a small slot in the front so you can put that Rhino thing in, like, and that warranty at double the price, V-Cinema exclusive. Like, are you serious?
That was pretty crappy, but I did like the Chase movie. It had some nice character moments.
The movie was great. It was another. I think it was made worse, not worse in the sense of bad, worse in the sense of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That it was Chase, because I mean, I remember watching that all of Drive, and it got to that scene in that episode where they, I don't even have to go there, and I remember welling up. I was actually sat and I welled up, like extreme. I was beyond. My eyes were like puffy. I was nearly crying, and I remember turning to my fiancée Charlotte, and I said, after I'd finished Drive, I was like, "You have to watch this episode."
Chase is a great character.
That was a big mistake because I was sat with her. Rather than welling up this time, I straight up had to leave the room. Like I was crying. I couldn't stop. I cried for like 5 minutes. Like, because it isn't one of those shows where they just have a random character that it happens to. They made you fall in love with them. This whole show, you got more and more in touch with him, and then the way they did, I don't know. I'll never agree with what they did, but my God, they did it so well.
Actually, I would disagree. I agree completely with what they did because the emotional reaction it got.
For sure.
If something can make you feel so genuinely, then I think it's a good decision.
They've realised now, because that's what sold so much of their toys and so many of the V-Cinema copies for the Chase one. Wow. They've clicked on because of that emotional connection. Bringing him back made people want to go see it more. That's why they kept putting him in all the other movies as a side character.
It's almost as if quality writing leads to a well-received show that leads to increased sales.
They did it with X-Aid. They did it with Kyria as well, didn't they? Early on in X-Aid.
Nowhere near as well.
Nowhere near as well, but they did it to the point, like, they did. The problem is they got rid of him far too soon. I think if they'd kept him going, people would have been more... I saw people all over Twitter were genuinely annoyed that they got rid of him. Like, you saw, just after it happened, a couple of weeks afterwards, Toei were releasing official merchandise T-shirts and all that. And it was like pictures of Laser and his level 2 form laying on the ground with Game Over beneath it. And it's like, that is dark, that is twisted, that is disgusting, and I want one.
They definitely tried to sell him too hard.
They really did. A bit too much.
I liked his design because, well, I mean, I'm a Hawaiian shirt connoisseur myself.
Yeah.
But when it got to his personality, I don't know, it just kind of turned me off.
He made him to be an ass.
Yeah. He can't be an ass when wearing a Hawaiian shirt. It's not possible.
No, it was, again, like Jeremy said, it was nowhere near as well done as Chase was. You can tell that's what they were going for, but it was such a weird character to do it to as well. Like, why, being his main form, X-Aid's motorbike? Yeah,
that's weird.
Why did they feel the need to get rid of him? Or even, why did they feel the need to make him the bike?
Yeah. What's weird is the fact that they can get a bike that looks like him but isn't him.
I wish they could have kept it like that, but kept him as the bike, so it would be like Heat Vision and Jack. So basically just solving crimes, fighting monsters with a motorcycle best friend.
Did you see what they actually did with that when after that episode had aired, and obviously when he had passed and he was no longer the bike, but because X-Aid still had the Baxo bike gashat, he could still summon the motorbike, and all they did was the eyes on the motorbike, they just painted over them in black.
Gouge out your friend's eyes and ride him.
That was their way of saying, like, oh yeah, it's still Baxo bike, but your friend whose eyes you used to once see, they're not in there anymore. You're riding his empty corpse. It's like, boy.
Weekend at Kiria's.
This is a nightmare. I mean, Rex, I hope you realize that when you die, and it will be an accident, and you shouldn't question that. I'm not going to be doing anything with your body. I'm not going to be having it kind of posed next to me during recording sessions.
Oh, come on! When we're both going to die together, and our skeletons are going to be posed as if fighting.
A little diorama with like a model explosion behind us.
Yes.
I'm gonna do that with everybody that I know. Like everyone that's close to me, I'm gonna have it in my will as my last request that everything close to me must be buried with me, whether it's dead or not.
So Will is either a sociopath or an ancient Egyptian pharaoh.
I've got my bets on the latter.
If I'm going down, you guys are coming with me.
All are welcome at the skeleton rave.
So what do we want from the next rider show?
All female riders.
So what I want...
I could see them pushing out more female riders, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Because it seems it's working for this show. Like, you've seen some of the biggest... So many people were requesting, putting in pre-orders for the Buggle Driver Mark II for X-Aid.
Wow.
They're putting in lots of pre-orders because they saw that the first person to use it was Poppy. But then when they found out that it doesn't come with the Tokimeki Crisis gashat, it comes with the Chronicle gashat, people were cancelling that pre-order to go. They cancelled the pre-order for it to go and get the Tokimeki Crisis gashat. So everyone, I think Toei are realizing now that it's not about people not enjoying female characters. It's when you write in female characters as lackeys and side chicks.
Oh,
that's
definitely.
when people don't care. If you write them in as big characters, like a mainstay from episode 1 to episode final, and even movie exclusives, don't kill them off. Don't make them comic relief. Don't make them weak, and don't give them emotions. Make them like the men. Make them stern. Make them strong. Make them humans. They're realizing now that that's what people want. Yeah, but I think hopefully Heisei will step up its game and try a little bit, because people are determined that the Heisei era is ending soon. So we'll find out what happens.
Yeah, they're entering phase 3 for the next rider, aren't they? Which
oh boy,
Super Neo Heisei.
I personally am hoping for
He's my favorite emperor.
Decade.
Yeah, that would
be quite cool.
A female decade.
Oh hell yeah!
See, honestly, I just want to return to the Showa era. I just want give us a bug man, please. I want a bug themed rider again.
It would be nice to have another, because it wasn't just Showa. It was early Heisei stuck with bug themes.
But
it seems that recently, we went back for Kabuto. It seems that they tried it, and then they thought, we have to try and expand a little bit. As you do,
we've run out of bugs.
If you're a chef and you cook the same meal every day, people are going to question your talents. I think that's what it was. They had to try and broaden their horizons and change up what they could do. So it's understandable that they tried to change it to, like, you have your video games and your ghosts and your cars. Like, I understand that doesn't mark any red flags with me. However, it does seem about time, because it's been so long since they have been in touch with their early roots, that I think for a new era, they should, even if it's just like a one-off thing, like maybe not the first thing they do with the new era, but something that they consider doing, that'd be amazing.
I find that I'm okay with the themes. It's fine, they're experimenting. It's just the execution for me. It just seems so ham-fisted. I mean, look at the amazing designs they had for Gaim. I'm one of the few who hated Gaim simply because of Kota. But in terms of execution, things could be done so much better.
Yeah.
It's what is turning me off Xaid, but after hearing about Poppy and other girl, that has got me really tempted to watch.
See, one thing that really turns me off Xaid is the suit. I don't mind a video game themed show. I just hate the suit, because it looks like it's been designed by someone who hasn't played a video game since the 90s.
If it helps fight our case to encourage you to watch Xaid, the more recent episodes, it seems that we're seeing less of Xaid as Xaid.
Ooh.
My goodness.
There's a whole story arc that's going on right now. Again, I'm not going to mention it, because if you guys ain't caught up, it's not worth it. But the story arc that's going on, he's become less of a mainstay on the screen. There's a lot of controversial things that are happening. So it's all left to the rest of the team. For the past few episodes, they've been doing their thing. Well, he's had a couple of scenes, but he's not been the main focus. We've been focusing more on, like, some of the, like, we had the whole arc with Poppy trying to figure out who she was, with her being a bugster, whether she wanted to side with the humans or the bugsters, and there was a whole arc about that. And then they had all the ride players that were finding out that the trick to Kamen Rider Chronicle is that when you get a game over, you don't get to start again, you die. But none of them were told that, so they're all playing this game thinking it's for fun. And
when you die in the game, you die in real life.
If you die in Canada, do you die in real life?
Well, Canada isn't real, so no.
That's true. It's like Atlantis or New Zealand.
People lie about countries all the time. People say, like, India and Pakistan. They're just the same country pretending to be two.
Or like needed. The moon. You get all those people that believe in the moon, but in reality, it's just a hologram.
Well, no. The moon was originally not real, but then when they wanted to fake the moon landing, they got Stanley Kubrick in. His perfectionism made him make a moon for them to film on.
Oh, by the way, planes don't fly. What they do is they go up in the air, yes, but they don't move. They just move the earth under them.
That makes sense. It's like driving. Cars don't actually move around the earth. Cars are just so heavy that when the wheels turn, the earth starts rotating with them.
Physics.
It's kind of sad when when you're talking about a show and you're talking about how it's improving. One of the things you bring up is the main character being featured less prominently.
It is a shame. Actually, it's what I did enjoy about Gaim.
Again, yeah, that was. I think this was one of the big things that got so many people worried at the beginning of Xaid, because I think with most shows you only ever get like a sneak peek at the main rider. Like, think about Drive or Ghost. You only saw the main rider, and then it wasn't until like episode 5 or 6 where you saw the scans and the leaks appearing online for them. But with Xaid, within the first week of the show being announced, we'd already seen the first 5 riders that were coming, because we saw.
It was mad.
You saw Xaid, Brave, Snipe, Laser, and then Gen as well. Genmu, however you want to say it.
Yeah, how are we pronouncing that?
I just say I say Gen personally.
Yeah, like I suppose we could say Gem, like Dam is NM or MN, whatever.
I could just call him Dirty Dan. Dirty Dan.
dangerous.
I find they're taking a more American approach to things. It's like what they're doing with Q Ranger.
Well, that was that's another thing I was going to get into a little while ago when you guys brought up the American influence with Forza, because they had such a big American team on board, didn't they? They brought over some of the Bandai of America guys to help out with Q Ranger.
I'd be very surprised if the guys from America didn't make some suggestions at least for Xaid.
I can see that. I can see that as a human being, one of the biggest things we fail to learn is to when to shut our mouths. So it wouldn't surprise me if they came over to help out with Q Ranger. And those companies between Sentai and Kamen Rider, they are kind of linked. They're close. They film on the same sets. So it wouldn't surprise me if one of them's opened his mouth and said something that would have looked good, and that's what they've done. I mean,
yeah.
You never know. It's no coincidence. It's got to be no coincidence that the first time they have Bandai of America over helping with the Sentai team, a couple of weeks later when the Kamen Rider show is kicking off a little bit, we have more female presence. It wouldn't surprise me if that was their doing.
Woo!
America saves Japan again.
Yes, thank you, America, for saving Japan's economy. We might even get Metal Heroes back.
Oh, I wish. It'd be nice to see that return again.
It's a shame how it ended.
We are seeing Gavan and the Space Sheriffs coming back every so often.
Yeah, I was just about to say that because Gavan's got more of a movie presence now. They're more like a movie.
Yeah.
Movie presence. That's probably the best way I could put that.
Yeah, they got that. They got that film with Deca Ranger. Didn't Sharavan have a movie as well?
He did.
I'm just disappointed they never had a crossover with Daft Punk.
Oh boy, I remember seeing the hype behind. I think it was during Gaim. When they had that weird filler episode with Kikaider.
Oh yeah,
that was a weird episode. But I'd never really delved into Kikaider that much. I knew of the old suit design, but obviously this new one was I liked what they did with it. Again, it had no purpose being in Gaim. There was absolutely no reason for that whatsoever. You had Professor Ryoma removing his brain and putting it.
He was drawing the cut hairlines.
Yeah, like why would you? I didn't understand that, but at the same time, that was I saw that built a lot of hype in the community who were behind Kikaider when it was more of a screen presence, and everyone got so excited. I don't think much came of it. I think they had like a few episodes or a movie spin-off, and then that was it.
Yeah,
and nothing more came of it. And it's like, again, if they're gonna hype up a show by putting it in with a movie tie-in, again, like you got Gavan and Deca Ranger. It'd be nice if there was at least a mini-series like they're doing with Amazons.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the sideline to make up for the fact that they're not going to make this a mainstay on Japanese television. That'd be nice.
Is that what they did with, what are they called? The Iron Superman with Kyodan and Skydan.
I was about to get into that.
Yeah, and then they have the Akumizers as well.
Yes, so essentially in the Forza movie, they brought back the Kyodan in a rebooted sense. Now they're androids and stuff. And did the Akumizers in a Wizard Forza crossover movie.
Those things look like demons. Those things are nightmarish.
They were really good suits, actually.
They
worked it into current Toku slapstick.
I think what worried me with the Forza versions, with them bringing them back in Forza, was they made them, again, and I'm probably going to say this an awful lot with all these movie tie-ins, they make them similar to what Rex just said there with slapsticks, like side characters. They had no purpose really being there, but at the same time, it was nice to see them again. And I think it ruined, for me, not really being adventurous when it comes to TV shows. I don't want to see the first thing I see of a character, I don't want to see them be a side character.
Yeah.
Because even if they're not like that in their own show, I now have no interest in watching that show because that is the only image I have of them, which ruins it. For me, I might have missed out on countless good shows. It took me so long to get into Ultraman. I'm obsessed with it now, but it took me so long because the modern shows, as I'm sure Ranger will agree with, there's too many children.
Oh boy.
They're all kids. They're all kids. I mean, Orb was the only one that had a relatively old actor.
And then we've got Jeed coming up, he's 16.
He's 16
16.
Years old, and he's supposed to be Belial's seed, and I don't understand why he needs to be such a dweeb. It just makes no sense.
Yeah,
it's worrying that that's the path they went with. But going back in time, like I said, I'm almost finished the Ultraman DVDs that you parted with. You gifted me, Ranger.
Yes.
And now Jeremy is obsessed with me hurrying up and letting him watch them because he wants to start.
It's good.
Why aren't you done yet?
It is very good, though.
Have you paid attention to the suits they use in it? The suits they use for Ultraman. You can see the three types of suits they used. The Type A suit.
Oh, hang on, I'm unfamiliar with this.
Okay, so basically, in the original 1966 show of Ultraman, there were three suits they used throughout the show. The Type A suit, the Type B suit, and the Type C suit. The Type A suit they had a gap in the mouth, and in certain scenes you can see the actor's teeth, because they originally wanted the mouth to move. And I think they also wanted him to, like, spit like silver or something like that. Something weird. And then when they realized, well, no one can actually notice his mouth moving, so, well, let's just forget that. So then, then with the Type B suit, and then basically the Type C suit is just an updated Type B suit. That's when they got things, they just smoothed it out, streamlined it all. They got that.
Essentially, the way of looking at it is the Type A suit was, like Ranger said, open mouth. You could see, you could see all the features that made tried to make him a bit more human emotion. Realized it wasn't working. Type B suit, it was like they just put plasticine over the parts they didn't like and then painted it. So it looked, it covered up what shouldn't be there, but it still looked weird. Like you would expect, putting blobs of plasticine over certain things. And then Type C, after a little break, they just remade the suit and streamlined it and made it look a little better. But you do notice it, because sometimes you notice in some episodes where if that scene was filmed out of line, so like sometimes you'd notice like the suit would change quickly, and you'd be like, wait a minute, like that's a reused scene. Like that episode, that scene's from that episode that they just reused. You'd notice it. It got better towards it's getting better towards the end. Like I said, I'm almost done now. I'm on the last disc.
Yeah, Type C is basically what you think of when you think Ultraman. They did use Type A in I think maybe one of the Giga movies. Like for some reason, I have no idea why, but they did use the Type A suit as for a CGI model. I have no idea why. It's a nice touch, I guess, but I don't know anybody who likes it. No,
it's not got such an adorable personality to the suit.
It's nightmarish.
Like the original, Rider 1 and 2, they have purpose. Like when you see the more recent versions, like because excluding that god awful Ghost movie with Ichigo being
buff as hell.
Yeah, excluding that remake, all the original suits they did. There are multiple versions. Again, some of them are more because they remade the first ever suit and they have them in some movies, and then they have like the original suit from the original movies. Yeah, from the original shows, not movies. Sorry, shows. When I see the really old, like beaten up, scratched helmets from the original shows, I'm thinking, oh man, that's great. It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that it's still being used and it's really sweet. With Ultraman, the Type A suit didn't have that feel. You look at it, you're just like, what is this horrible cosplay monstrosity? It doesn't look real.
I suppose if you look at it from the way that he's still kind of getting used to having a human host, maybe it's better. Like he's still getting used to reformatting himself. I don't know. I mean, we all know what it is.
No offense to the shows, but the last thing I want to do with a TV show about superheroes is have to use my imagination. I want to see it on screen. So
fair enough. It's here as a replacement to imagination. How dare they stimulate our minds this way?
Will, since you're getting into Ultraman, have you read the manga that's been running at the moment?
I have not. I have been considering it, so if you have anything to say about it, don't spoil it, but do upsell
Everyone dies.
I'd really recommend it. It's basically set in a world where Seven never happened, Jack never happened.
Oh.
Nothing like that ever happened. Yeah, Ultraman left in 1966 and never came back. Shin Hayata is I think he's the boss of the Science Patrol now. It's set in like 2010 or so. And he's remembered what he did in Ultraman, and he still has kind of part of the he has like the Ultra factor in him. Like Ultraman left like a residual traces of power, so he's still super strong, can jump really high, that kind of thing. Yeah, and they've developed a suit that looks like Ultraman, like an Iron Man suit, and it follows Shin's son. We're using this suit to fight human-sized aliens and monsters. Like, and he can use, like, the color timer just indicates, like, when he's overclocking his powers and, to use his Specium Ray. Seven gets a suit. It's not Seven, but it's themed after Seven. And at the point I'm on volume 4 at the moment, they're hinting at Jack coming in as well.
Oh, I will say no more. You've already sold me.
I'm surprised they never used this as the premise for an Ultra Q sequel.
They did do an Ultra Q reboot, but it was just like the original Ultra Q. It wasn't.
See, this is again, because you guys are well versed in a lot of all these other tokus. I think that's one of the reasons. Obviously, just jumping back quickly to Toku Toy Store, we don't really have much in the sense of Ultraman, purely because not a lot of people like me myself. I'm just getting into it now, but it's not something that everyone really knows. Like you can be massively into Toku, but not.
We call those people heretics.
It's kind of sad because Ultraman did have a decent US presence. Like it had a dub of the of Ultraman and Ultra 7. Then they had the cartoon as well. Then they had was it Powered or Great? That was it was Great. That was American. And then there was even plans in the 80s for a big budget Ultraman movie.
I know there was a sequel cartoon in America.
Yeah, I mean
that's why I want to get these DVDs to Jeremy as quick as I can, because the sooner he watches Ultraman and he gets into it, the more the more presents there will be. Because we've had some people message the page a few times and they're asking if we have Ultraman items and Spark dolls and all that kind of stuff. So,
but that's been my problem, is that I haven't ever seen any of the Ultraman series at all.
Yeah. I do. So there's a bunch on Crunchyroll.
That kind of product knowledge to be able to know what people want, rather than ending up with tons of useless plastic.
Kids like Ranger keys, right?
Well, that's my it took me a while to. That's a good point, actually.
I can use those though.
It took me a while to get into it myself. Again, I jumped in at a weird point. I started watching properly around Ginga, and Ginga's not a bad one to get into, because that was my first introduction to the long running trend of those Spark dolls that they used for so many years. But that was a good place to.
Ginga Man.
It was a good place to stop.
Ginga Man.
No. But I again, like, Ginga had so much. It had a great theme tune. It had a great. The acting wasn't bad. Like the actors weren't, even though they were young, they didn't look young. They seemed well versed in what they were doing. Like, it was a good era, and I liked the presence of the artificial Ultraman, because they had John 9.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
You do love yourself some John 9, don't you?
I love John 9. I as soon as I got to that point in the show, straight online onto eBay and looking for the Ginga John 9 gun pad, that tablet that turns into a gun, because I was so quick to have to grab that. I was like, I have to. It sounds amazing. It has Nokia sounds. It's used by like a giant artificial Ultraman robot thing, and it was really cool. And I was like, I have to own it. I have to have it. I don't regret buying it. I don't think I spent that much. I think I spent £15 on it, which is a very good price. But again, that's another positive thing with Ultraman toys, because right now they're not hugely popular. You can buy the latest toys for next to nothing. They cost nowhere near as much as the Sentai and Rider equivalents. So
I'm gonna get myself one of the rings from Orb then.
Yeah. Oh, they have two. They have the dark one now, don't they? The Orb Ring Dark. That thing sounds cool. But I'm a sucker for evil things, evil versions.
Would you say that Jean 9 was your favorite character in Ultraman completely then?
Yeah, I'd say controversially, yes. I would have to say, because again, like, it was a conflicting character. Not only was it cool to see like this big artificial intelligence, but like he had his human moments where he was like, he had his evil phase, and then he had his good phase. Like, it was nice, and with his main weapon / control device being a tablet that turns into a handgun. What's not to love?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have to say that John 9 would probably be and the design. I mean, come on, the massive buff.
True.
Like over the top, sentient robot thing. It was amazing. So yes, to answer your question, yes.
Have you ever gotten into the Godzilla franchise in much detail?
I have far too many Godzilla DVDs.
Oh yes,
my
brother.
Man. Yeah, Godzilla is probably another. Again, when I was young and I enjoyed Godzilla, and I never made the connection between the shows, so I never really considered them much more than just Godzilla. But no, I have always loved Godzilla. There's not a film I haven't seen. There's not like a stupid source filmmaker video on YouTube that I haven't seen. I am. Yeah, good old Goji.
Did you see some of the animation tests from Shin Godzilla?
I think I did.
With whether they were testing out different ways to make Godzilla move, and they had him kind of slithering around on his tail.
Yes, I saw some of those.
Get around to this.
Some of them, they weren't quite sure how they wanted them to fight as well, because they had like, do we have him still standing on his back legs for fighting, or do we have him pounce on all fours like a happy dog? And it was like, oh boy.
I do love the film, but Godzilla's design, I really hope they don't bring it back. I want that to stay just in Shin Godzilla.
Hey, you've broken Anno's heart.
I'm sorry, Anno. I love Ultraman as much as you do. Please forgive me.
It's again, Ultraman and Godzilla are two very similar but also very different shows to get into. It is worth watching the two of them. Like I said, sometimes you see a lot of reused monster suits that appear, and
like Baragon.
It is fun.
Heartbreakingly enough, the director for Godzilla vs. Hedorah has died.
Yeah, Yoshimitsu Banno's passed. I think he passed on the 7th, and they just announced it the other day.
It's a sad time. They've got a lot. Again, that's another thing, especially for you, Ranger, with your obsession with Showa era.
Yeah,
everyone's dying.
It is. It's a sad thing. I've seen so many voice actors. I mean, Mother of Ultra, the voice actress passed away. I was sad about that. I was like, I've only just gotten into watching all that, and I'm quite sad now.
Yeah, Mother's one of my favorite characters in Ultraman. I love Mother of Ultra and Father of Ultra.
They were good. I feel bad now, because I feel bad, just off topic again, because we're all talking about these shows, and we have Jeremy sat there, and I don't think he's seen much of these. Have you seen many of the other shows, Jeremy? Because I know you're more
not
of
really. No.
This Sentai and Rider and about that.
Like, other than the aforementioned Grand Caesar, no, not so much.
Nor me.
We'll change that soon, though. It's not for lack of trying. Again, it's just because he's not got any reason to, not got any resources to watch. So
I definitely recommend you check out some of the older stuff, like the entirety of Kamen Rider 1's series has been subbed now, including a couple of the movies.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah,
that's just a quick note there, Jeremy. Before we continue on that one, do you have a region-free DVD player?
Yes.
Good stuff. I had to go hunting for mine because the discs that you gave me, Ranger, obviously they were region 1, I think they were, so they only worked on so I had to so I was like, oh, it doesn't work in my PS4, it doesn't work in my computer, so I had to go hunt
tried
for
VLC.
Yeah, VLC doesn't need regioning. You can just shove anything in there and VLC will play it. I thought everyone knew this.
Oh.
If that's the case, I might just rip the last episodes I haven't watched and then send a whole lot to Jeremy. Yeah, just hear Jeremy in the corner there. He likes this idea. I'm just surprised as well, because I know, like, with I've lost my train of thought then. No, I know with like you gave me, Ranger, with the first season being on DVD. Have they got many more of the seasons after that they put onto DVD?
Oh, I'm going to crush your hopes and dreams now, Will, unfortunately. You ever heard of a company called Chayo?
Oh, here we go again.
Oh, yes.
That's why we can't get nice things. The reason why the episodes I gave you aren't as high quality as they could be is because they're licensed from Chayo, not Tsuburaya. And Tsuburaya has the master tapes that you can do stuff with. Chayo does not. So we've got Ultraman from Mill Creek, and I think Mill Creek also did Ultra 7, but that's it.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And that's why on Crunchyroll, the earliest Ultra series you have it's either Ace or 80. You can't get the originals because of.
I can live in hope.
Honestly, I just if I had a genie, I'd waste one wish on resolving the Chayo Tsuburaya conflict, because I want to get Taro.
Oh, yeah,
some sort of monkey's paw wish when the Chayo Tsuburaya conflict is resolved, but they're all owned by Saban.
Saban's Ultraman.
The only versions you can buy are they're all the master tapes have been dubbed in English, so you have to like redub them in
by Jason David Frank.
With the oh no, even the women.
So like instead of saying swatch when he flies off, Ultraman says iya, iya,
oh no! Oh. What has science done?
Oh Lord, we should do that. We should all just record our best impressions of Frank, and then just like push out some really, really bad dubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Sailor Moon with a Sailor Moon.
Oh no!
Entirely dubbed with yeah.
Wait, are we talking about Saban's Sailor Moon?
Everything is Saban's now.
Oh boy, I'm so disappointed that never came to fruition. I really wanted to watch that just because of how terrible it looked. Wasn't Sailor Mercury in a wheelchair in that?
Wait, please inform me, what is Saban's Sailor Moon?
Oh boy,
I feel so uninitiated.
A subsidiary of Saban produced a pilot episode for a westernized version of Sailor Moon. It would be partially animated, partially live action.
What?
So the animated bits would look like, I think they were going to be animated by Deke, or someone like that. And they'd look like cartoons from the time. And then the live-action versions would be just like the Sailor Scouts doing their thing in like some kind of weird communal hippie house they lived in. And one of them was paralyzed from the waist down. So in like a typical 90s cartoon fare, they'd have the one token wheelchair character. And I think she was Ginger too.
Oh, hey,
so,
that is too tokenistic. How dare they?
When she transformed into her Sailor Scout form, she had like this, Professor X type wheelchair she hovered in.
I think a good way of looking at it is Saban used to believe that they could make everything Toei had better. Because they grabbed Sentai and they made Power Rangers, and I'll admit Power Rangers was amazing. They thrived off the the success, that's the word, and they kept going. Okay, we can take more shows and make them better. We can bring them over here. We can make loads of money. So they grabbed Masked Rider.
The folly of man.
Yeah, actually, that's where they should have learned their lesson that they can't make everything better.
VR Troopers was okay in terms of success, but they couldn't really do any more because they ran out of footage.
The problem they were coupling together like 3 shows.
It was the same with Beetleborgs. They could have done so much more with it. But what I feel like they did was they had Beetleborgs, but it seemed that every single episode was like a repurposed episode of Goosebumps. If you guys ever watched that, it was like Goosebumps. It was like Goosebumps with superimposed armored teenagers. Like I didn't quite understand what they were trying to achieve with that one, and it was weird. It's something that they brought back as well, didn't they? Because they're like, oh yeah, we've learned from our mistakes. We're never going to bring back Masked Rider and Kamen Rider. And then a few years in the future, we had Dragon Knight. Like as if they didn't learn from their mistakes.
That wasn't Saban, though.
It was a different company, and it did actually win
I know.
awards for the choreography.
I want to know who thought it was a good idea to bring it back, because I do know that Saban Productions did have something to do with Dragon Knight. Like their name was on the box, as you would say.
Probably just because of rights or something like that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want to know why. It's nice to know that they still had the rights to the Masked Rider name, but I want to know why they felt the need to bring it. Like, who thought, oh yeah, Masked Rider was such a failure, we can make it better by bringing it back with less acting and more action scenes. And it was like, no, it was just entirely repurposed footage. The only thing they changed between Ryuki and Dragon Knight was they added scenes with English actors, and they were bad actors. Like there was no good ones.
Actually, I'd say the plot of Dragon Knight was better than Ryuki.
They changed I'll admit that the plot was good, but what I don't understand is why did they feel the need to change the belt? Like as if the transformation before wasn't good enough. They have that. I think did you see that video Ranger that I told you?
Yeah, I looked it up. It kind of the deck kind of spins around or something.
Yeah, with the Ryuki one, you slide the deck into the belt and it does your transformation sounds. One single blinking light. The American side of things thought that's not enough. So you clip the deck. You can't slide it in. I think you have to like clip it in.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little button lever that you flick, and it's like what it does in the show. If you guys ever watched Dragon Knight,
I've seen bits, yeah.
When they transform, the deck kind of like it flops back into the belt, and then it spins, and then it creates that orb around them that transforms them inside it. That was the gimmick for Dragon Knight's belt. You have to crudely clip in this deck, and then it spins it rapidly.
Yeah, I don't understand why that was necessary.
That's unwieldy as hell.
Mainly because to have it spinning in the deck, in the belt, they had to make the belt really, really thick. Like it stuck out far. Like I'm pretty sure it stuck out farther than most people's feet. It was ungaudy. I don't know why they felt the need to do that.
To answer your question on who thought it was a good idea, apparently some company called Atlas Entertainment. Never heard of them before or since.
One letter away from sadness.
It had a lot of potential, though. That's the sad thing about Dragon.
Oh, definitely.
Of it, it was the plans that they had for it were huge, but then unfortunately the Power Rangers stigma got attached to it, and nobody would actually give it the time of day.
That's the one thing that's ruined so many good shows that have tried to come out in America. People are, I think it's different for us. We're like the halfway point, being in the UK, so we can appreciate both sides of the book.
It's because we have Doctor Who.
But they're so the best Toku. But they're so hooked up on Power Rangers. Like some people refuse to acknowledge Sentai as even the original.
Oh no!
Because they believe that MMPR. They believe MMPR is the best thing to happen to superheroes. Wait. And it's like, why? I don't understand why they're so. they cut themselves off from such a great welcoming community. If you go on Facebook and you have all the Toku pages, everybody is essentially friends. Whereas if you go on a Power Rangers page, they're all just acquaintances.
Are we talking about the purists?
The nasty purists.
Do you think they live in that episode of Akiba Ranger where reality is swapped?
Yes,
and
powerful Rangers
becomes the source of Super Sentai?
Have you guys ever gone on a Jason David Frank Facebook page? I tried to look for hate. If you find hate, one person says, I wasn't a fan of MMPR, and you get, there's like, read 8,000 comments, and it's all people telling them to kill themselves. And it's like, oh my God.
Now, we don't just hate Mighty Morphin Power Rangers purists. No. We hate Sentai purists as well. You're both idiots. Come on, just enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. I mean, I see Power Rangers and Sentai as a gateway to a massive community of people who are, accepting. Because one of the biggest worries with these kind of shows is you never know who's going to accept the fact that you watch children's shows. So it's a difficult thing, because it's like, I can either mention to this big guy over here that I watch Power Rangers and he's going to knock me unconscious and call me a nerd, or I can mention to this big guy that I watch it and he's going to be like, oh bro, same, what's your favorite? And then we could be friends over it. I mean, I remember at MCon, I don't know if you saw them, Jeremy, but they had there was the two cosplayers who were cosplaying as Thor and Loki.
Yeah, I did see them. Yeah,
that massive, nearly, it was 6'8", buff, long blonde hair Thor cosplayer, and he walks up and he's looking at Super Sentai toys, and it's like, you would never approach someone like that on the street and say, do you watch Power Rangers, for fear of being hurt? But he was walking up and looking at the stuff like he knew what it was. That's the beauty of the community when it all comes together. Everybody, shape, size, background, everybody can be friends. But then you get the purists who are determined to make you believe that nobody should get along because one is better than the other, and I don't understand that.
I mean, just get over yourselves. It's a kids' show in which men wear tight spandex and punch rubber monsters until they explode.
Will now establish himself as the Martin Luther King of Toku.
I have a dream.
You've got to admit, we have Jeremy in this chat who loves Ghost. We have Ranger in this chat who is obsessed with nothing outside of Showa.
It's because it's the best.
But you know what I mean? I can, it's not difficult to get along. I respect the fact that you prefer Showa. I respect the fact that Jeremy likes trash bags. It's
if you don't have sideburns, you should burn in hell.
Let's not get into your dirty laundry there, Will. Mr. I like Operation Overdrive, but not Gokaija.
Ooh, the cat's out of the bag now. Dirty secrets.
Gokaija was good. I'll admit it wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't. I think to me, it was another one of those shows like Decade, where the show wasn't bad. I mean, I love Decade. I mean, you have to, purely because it brought back so many of the old suits. I think that it was more for nostalgia.
It had worse Cougar though.
I'd love to see another take on Decade, perhaps in a few years' time after Heisei Phase 3, and maybe they do it as a sequel or as a separate thing. But the only problem for that would be the fact we keep on getting Legendary Rider films, so we've got things using the gimmicks of other riders anyway.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. Just because you got to remember, when you think about Decade, you can think of it as its own show, or you can think of it as because it was the 10-year mark. That was the decade of Heisei. They were bringing it back, but then they released the complete selection modification Deca Driver, and there were sounds in there for every rider.
Oh, crikey.
After Decade, all the way up to Drive, I think it was.
Whoa, that's a good touch.
But that's what I mean. You had these cards. If you printed off a Drive one and it had a barcode, and you put it in the belt, and it would say it would do the Common Rider, and then it would say Drive, and then it would play Type Speed's jingle. But that never happened, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's in there. I'd like to live in hope that one day they will do a reboot, just a brief one, even if it's just in the future, like the 20-year mark, for example. And we have an extra Decade spin-off type thing where he's going back through the previous years, and we get to see him visit all these quote-unquote Neo-Heisei locations.
It's not out of the question.
It would be nice to see, and I think Decade deserves it, because it's not a show that could just give up. I mean, you think about it with Gokaija. Some people are determined to believe that even though Gokaiger's finished, they're still up there flying around in space. So why can't Decade be doing the same thing?
Decade did introduce the worst Cougar. I mean, why? We want Yusuke Godai, not Onodera rubbish.
It's a shame Joe Adagiri hates Toku.
Yeah, it's the same. What's the actor's name for in Kamen Rider Double? Who was Philip?
Yeah, I know who you mean. Isn't he in like a Black Butler movie recently or something like that?
Yeah, he had the option. You noticed how in the returning movies a double character come in. They only have Show come in as they only have Shotaro come in as Joker.
Right.
The reason why they can't have him back, and it was the same with another tie-in movie when Cyclone Joker's form more recently, but they didn't have him speak because they couldn't get the actor for Philip to come back because he apparently he wholeheartedly believes that Toku ruined his career, so he doesn't want to come back. I think it's not because it was bad, but I think because of the character he played.
Now he keeps on being typecast as a magical transvestite.
Yeah, that was it. Like he played such a feminine, open-hearted character, and he couldn't get any serious roles after that. And that's the last thing you want when you're only you're looked upon as this soft character, and you want to have a hard role. So he didn't. He will never return. He has said it himself. He can't return because it doesn't believe it would do him any justice. But it's the same with Gentaro's character from Forza. He can't return. Have you heard about that?
I have not. Fill us in, my man.
The agency that he's with now. As you guys must know, for Japanese actors and whatnot, and actresses, they're all part of agencies, and those agencies have strict clauses in their contracts that forbid you from doing certain things. Now, he did Forza before he joined this agency, and this agency, when you sign a contract with an agency in Japan, it's pretty much for life. Ooh. They have you until the end of your acting days.
Wow.
Unless you do quit, in which case you'll never get work. That is the path. So they keep him going. They keep him on stage. They put him in productions. They make him famous. They make him money. But one of the clauses is there are certain production companies you can't work underneath. There are certain companies you're not allowed to be with because they're part of rival agencies. And it just so happens that the Toei Productions Company is underneath a rival agency against the agency he's now with, which means he can never return to reprise his role as Forza ever again. Otherwise, he will get fired.
The Japanese entertainment industry is terrible.
It's a shame Blade's actors agency didn't stop him from appearing in gay porn, hey?
Oh boy. Oh boy. I will pretend I never saw that as well.
I just hope that's the Gentaro actors.
You watched that?
Like it's not his fate. Or Phillips. It's like, well, Toku ruined my life and all I can do now is gay porn.
I didn't know this existed.
It's best to never see it, but yes, there are. When I was on Tumblr at the time, and you guys can probably understand how difficult Tumblr is to be a part of.
Let's not talk about yours, son.
We're all white here.
There were people in the Toku community who were saying about how when people say Blade, I think of this. And then it was just like it was just like some of the stills from those scenes. I think what makes it worse. I'm not saying I looked for long, but he's so small, both in stature and in size. Like you can see why he went into it because
Blade or gay porn,
both. But it's unfortunate that's the path. Take, but I mean they had that's just it. Sometimes when you come out of being in, it's the same for a lot of actors with Power Rangers as well. Actually, if that's what makes your career, you will never find something as good as that ever again. And I suppose back in Blade, back with Blade, the last thing you ever expected was to reprise your role years in the future. I mean that's something they're only doing now, isn't it? They're only just bringing back
definitely
some random actors, but back then that wasn't part of their clause. They would have never had that as an option. So he must have thought after Blade, that's it, I'm done. I'm never going to get work again. I'm never going to get something as well-paying and as fulfilling as this. And people do have meltdowns. People can Power Rangers actors that get close to taking their own life or, resort to drugs. And it's because that's the pinnacle of their life. And I can understand that. I mean, if I was randomly cast to be in a Power Rangers show, after that was done, I would have nothing to do with myself.
Right, back to the casting couch.
God. It's the same with, what's her name? I'm terrible for the actresses' names, but was it Yuki from Forza?
Oh!
Because she had an affair with that guy from that boy band.
Yeah, and then she joined a cult.
Yeah, first of all, I would not expect her to ever do that. And second of all, I would not expect her to ever do that.
It's infidelity time.
Like she joined like a science cult and she had an affair, and it's like, wow. And what makes it even worse is she was still technically an idol, and that is a no-no. Sexual relations when you're an idol is a no-no. Yeah, you have to remain pure for the audience. The second something happens,
my pure waifu for life.
But you have to. That's it. Because so many people over there don't like the thought of that. Like they don't like the thought of women who have been around and have had, have been adults. They want them to be pure, and it is very creepy.
Yeah, like you ever heard of?
If you see some of the men that are involved in that kind of thing, they're blatantly creepy.
Oh yeah, no, the idol whatever industry, I guess, in Japan is really messed up.
It is very messed up.
And the fan base doesn't help it either. They're all a bunch of, I mean, if even I can judge you, it's, you guys should really sort your lives out.
I wouldn't go as far as to say it's all of them, because sometimes you do get some people who
not all of them.
They're not bad. But
in general,
there are some dark, moist,
the culture.
moldy,
it's just
sweaty
weird.
corners. Yeah, there are some dark, moist, sweaty corners of that culture that you would not go near purely for fear of walking away with something on your skin. Like
it's a very sketchy subculture.
It is. It's like anything. To be honest with you, you got to think about like Ranger mentioned with that Urison incident for Ghost. There are many strange sections in these cultures that you don't quite realize are there until you are thrust into that corner and you realize what's happening. Like, I like to believe that Power Rangers is pure and all this is all great, but the actress who played Yellow from Jungle Fury, she was in a horror movie, and one of the first scenes that you saw of her, she was full on buff naked, like she was having sex on screen. You saw
very
everything.
Tasteful.
Oh boy.
Absolutely everything. And it's like, I never realized that, because as a kid, you get all these people going on the internet and Googling their favorite actresses and actors of Power Rangers. You Google her, the first thing that shows up on Google Images is a picture of her topless. Like,
quick, Rex, get Google up.
Not...
But that's it. That's just it. Like, there are so many. Yeah, put that on screen. Come on, guys. No,
better a nude scene than killing your roommate, I guess.
I suppose.
But it was. Yeah, that is true. Oh god. Yeah, that's
slightly better for your career.
I know, but I mean, I think. But she did that before Power Rangers, I believe. I think that was before then. So she was cast as the Yellow Ranger, and somebody at the casting desk knew that she'd been naked on telly, and they thought it was a good idea to have her on screen regardless.
No, it was afterwards.
Was it after?
Yeah.
Right.
It was. It wasn't in America. It was either in
New
Australia,
Zealand, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I remember that. What was the film called?
It was I'm not sure what the film was called, but she's also done scenes in a TV series as well, in the vein of the kind of HBO series that everyone has to get their tits out.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Fair enough.
Boy.
It does help that she was such a...
Hottie?
Yeah. And not only that, but like, I'm assuming you guys have seen clips of Jungle Fury, with it being one of the good ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, she was such a good actress. Like, she was damn good. Like, not only did she look good, and she didn't have that. She wasn't overwhelmingly beautiful. She was like, she looked human, which was nice, because she had everything in the right place. But also her voice acting. You know, when she was voice acting for the Yellow Ranger, like in suit.
Yeah.
Her shouts and her kicks and her sound effects that she made, it wasn't like cheap, high pitched, like girly, like yeah, hua, hua. It was like full on, like aggressive, like you would be if you were a woman who was fighting something. You're not going to make like high pitched kicks and squeals. She was genuine. She sounded like you would expect a martial artist to sound.
I saw that clip of Hugh Jackman recording grunts and growls for Logan.
I really hope she's not banished to the glamour section of conventions if she put that much effort into it.
I don't think Power Morphicon has one.
They will at some point.
They just have.
I remember that
the TV series that she did. It was a national TV series, and it was tastefully done. So I don't think it damaged her in
Yellow's
any way.
Tits, the musical.
I can't. To be honest, with her being such a good actress in general, it's different if you're questionable when you're on screen and then you perform in something like that afterwards. But I can't see her unless she does something ridiculous. I cannot see her damaging her career, because she's so good at what she does.
Can we talk about how Yellow Rangers seem to be the most successful after Power Rangers of any other Ranger?
Well, after Mighty Morphin, yes, because she died.
Yeah, well,
yes. She would have gone on to success if she had stayed, though. Like, if she hadn't have died, I reckon she'd have gone far.
I don't know. I always thought that. How do you pronounce her first name? I can never.
Ooh.
Sorry.
I cannot pronounce Vietnamese names.
I'd say she's the weakest of the actors, actually. Maybe that's because she was one of the ones with the shortest screen time on the show, like because she left with.
That's it. I mean, she left at such a crucial point, because you got to remember that back at the beginning they were all bad actors.
Oh yeah.
Like, have you guys seen the early pilot for the show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I haven't.
When you had what was it? Jason was like, "It's morphin time," and it was like Tyrannosaurus. And
are we talking about the aired one or the unaired pilot?
The unaired pilot.
I've got to see this.
With the really, he sounded like a snotty teenager. He was not taking it seriously.
I mean,
that's the version I watched. I preferred that one because that was then before acting classes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, David Yost only became a decent actor on Power Rangers because he was acting for so long on it.
Oh, yeah.
I always found it weird.
David Yost has kept his career intact. I think I mentioned it. I've actually mentioned this directly to him, but when we were at MCon that weekend, he's aged incredibly well.
Yeah, when are you talking about how you wanted his skin or something?
Yeah, I was. I mean, when I age, because no, listen though, you think about it realistically. When I get to his point in life, I wish my skin looks that good, but I know it won't. I'm going to look awful.
Will, are you actually a sociopath?
Listen though, I just want to wear his skin on my.
More like flavored Yost.
It's like, David, when you pass away, can I wear you as a flesh onesie?
Just wear it when stitch a Power Rangers diamond design onto the chest. And,
oh boy!
Now I am the Blue Ranger.
Buffalo Bill.
They've aged really good. Some of them, sometimes you don't see it a lot. I think it's because nowadays, when you come out of Power Rangers, the first thing that happens is you're cast into so many different agencies and people want you to do this and do that, and stress can beat you up. But he has maintained such a really good posture this whole time. I think it's because he has to. I mean, as he will, I'm sure, as David would exclaim beyond all belief, which is his full-on right to. He didn't have it easy.
What's your secret, David? Virgin blood.
But he didn't.
He does work in Hollywood, doesn't he?
Then, with being gay as well. It was not easy for him.
A lot of discrimination on set.
Oh, a hell of a lot, especially back then when it was not accepted. It must have been awful for him, especially when you're a children's entertainer. He had people straight up calling him a pedophile because he was a homosexual. They don't understand.
Wow.
Well, yeah, he walked off set because he was called faggot by the producers one too many times.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
He genuinely, he was so abused. So you got to hand it to the guy.
Not only that, but the producers called his co-stars in and grilled them and quizzed them over how they felt about his sexuality because I think probably because they wanted stuff to use to get him out of the show.
Wow. Yeah. Which is horrible.
So when you look at him today and you see how well he still copes with things and how far he's come in his career and the fact that he still embraces that role, you got to hand it to the guy.
Definitely.
He's probably had it the worst. Besides literally dying, he's probably had it the worst out of any of the original actors, and I think he holds it really well.
What I found the most impressive about the guy is that he is the longest serving Ranger actor on the show, despite all the crap he had to put up with.
Take that, JDF.
How do you manage? I mean, when everyone refers to you as a slur, how do you manage to go to work in the mornings like that? I mean, hot damn.
The guy had dedication. I mean, if every single morning you're slagged off and called every horrible name under the sun, and people are asking you to politely kill yourself.
That was just me working in a call center. It's nothing special.
But your career is oriented around, making children's lives better. He must have known that if he'd pull through and continue on with his life all the way up until now, he'd be a hero to so many. Not just a superhero, but a hero to people who are struggling with their identity and sexuality.
Work for some gay rights organizations.
Yeah, it's how do you pronounce it? Because it's spelled FCKH8. But no, yeah, I think it's kind of funny that a lot of Power Rangers stars, I think Power Rangers itself is now involved in this foundation. It kind of rubs me the wrong way that they treated him like that. Now they're all like, oh no, we like gay people now. Like, no.
That's it. It's sad to say that he is only liked by many who would have abused him years ago as part of a trend. It's a trendy thing to like gay people now, and it's like, that's disgusting.
Yeah, you got to be a good ally.
But that's it. But it's disgusting that that's the way it is. That people who would have been like, oh, I hate gay people back then, are only liking them now because everyone else is. Yeah. You guys are sheep. You guys will flock to anything. It's all well and good saying that you accept them now, but if tomorrow lynch mobs became popular again, would they go back to doing that? Because that's how it's a messed up thing. But I've seen that David's got his own clothing line. It's affirmative clothing, isn't it?
Oh wow.
Because one of his main case points is it's affirm yourself, because it's like you are you, no matter who, no matter how you feel, you'll always be yourself. So you've got to come to terms with who you are and not what everyone else thinks that you are. And then only once you've realized that you are who you are, you accept yourself. And that's his motto. As not only as like people, it's someone who's gone through so much like that, but as as a member of the gay community, it's difficult for him to get people like so many gay people walk up to him and are like, oh, I want to kill myself. Nobody accepts me. I'm bullied all the time. And he must hear that to no end. So he has to help people. Have you guys seen that? Is it Nya?
Yeah, Nya.se. Yes. That's gone.
It's
taken
gone.
down.
Like, it's completely gone. Like, oh my God, so much. There is a backup site.
But that doesn't have as much as Toku as Nya
but
had.
No, they've lost everything. I mean, I was the other day I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to all of Ninja again. Because I wanted to rewatch it, I want to go back and watch it purely because I liked some of the scenes weren't bad and the toys were good, gimmicks were good. But I'd forgotten. Like I'm recently, thanks to Jeremy selling me the Ninja Star Burger, I've gone back and decided, what shuriken can I get? But I've forgotten how many have existed, so I wanted to watch the show, see what was going on. But because of the loss of Nya, that's where Overtime hosted literally all of their subs.
Yeah.
So
way too dependent.
every single thing, minus what they've released within the last 2 weeks or less, is gone.
Oh, crikey.
They're going to have to salvage everything. They've said that they're making a change. I think they made the change to a torrent site called Anidex, I think it was called.
Something like that. I think they were talking about doing magnet links or something.
Yeah, but they made the brief change to Anidex. Some of them, like Excite subs, they tried to make the change to Anidex. But within 2 days of them all making the change, Anidex got DDoSed. So the whole of Anidex came down and people were losing all their work. And it's like, it's nothing sacred to these people.
Oh, crikey. It's going to be a nightmare rebuilding.
I heard that...
It really is.
I heard Nya went down because of some kind of EU regulation or something like that.
Yeah, there was...
The law in England has changed recently. I'm not sure whether that had anything.
Yeah, there's some heavy laws that have changed. Have you guys seen some of the more stupid ones in terms of a little less out of our conversation topic and more into online laws? Have you seen the laws against certain pornography is now illegal?
Oh, it's like face sitting. Didn't they protest by having people sit on their faces?
Something like that, yeah.
But really,
face sitting, spanking, fisting, female ejaculation.
Well, I mean, fisting, that just makes sense.
No, but it's things allowing females to reach orgasm is now illegal. Like,
wait,
what the
is this some sort of Victorian era?
I don't know what the hell's going on, but I reckon it's all going to be crap. In a couple of years, there'll be huge protests and people are going to be massive flat screen TVs in the middle of Times Square and all that shit over America, like free London, and they're going to be blasting pornography, and the whole world's going to protest for London and the rest of the world.
It's just a great big pile of orgies.
See, I don't much care about the porn. I just want my Toku, guys. Come on, just give me my karate bug man.
We got to save this for the mature cast, latex power armor.
Yes, I've heard this joke many times.
It's oddly relevant now.
It's difficult with so many online laws. You're seeing Nya's not the only one that's come down. There are so many other websites that have lost their rights. They've had to sell up their domain name for fear of going to court. And
oh, crikey.
Yeah. Like people don't want to deal with it. Like you guys, if you guys uploaded all your stuff to, if you had your own hosting site, and then someone decided it's against the law to upload to your own hosting site without having like an administrator that's like officially assigned, you either have to fork out money to officially assign an administrator or go to court to fight your right. And none of those options sound good.
No.
The internet is no longer the frontier it was.
See, I'm glad that I downloaded a bunch of Showa stuff. I got Kamen Rider 1, I've got Super 1, I've got Amazon.
He's prepared for the apocalypse.
I've got Amazon, I've got V3.
Everything that Overtime's done is gone now within the last week. So they're having to salvage so much of their stuff. So you just have to hope that the people who uploaded the stuff didn't, because I know that the subtitled ones, a lot of times they remove those, but they keep the raws. I'm hoping that they've kept like a massive like storage base filled with all the raws. Because if not, then we're screwed. They're going to have to like go back and find all of them, because a lot of times they were ripping them straight off of like web TVs. Like if they're gone, they're gone. Like people, imagine now if I'd only just gotten into Kamen Rider now. If I'd just gotten into Rider now, there is nothing for me to watch now.
It's very difficult.
I have to start now. I mean, once upon a time, you could have them on YouTube, couldn't you?
Oh, I remember. That's how I got into it.
That's how I got into Forza, because Forza was all over YouTube, and now it's gone. I tried uploading once. I was playing Kamen Rider, was it Backtride War 2, and I had a screen capture, and I put it on YouTube, and purely because it was using sounds, obviously from Kamen Rider, and I wasn't overlaying like random music, I got taken down on a copyright ban because I was using music and sounds from
crikey.
Toei.
Yeah, Toei are very quick to copyright strike you on YouTube.
Massively. My old channel got striked so many times that I lost it. just because I was uploading gameplay from a game that used sounds that were owned by them. It is really bad now. There is no freedom to do anything.
Well, that's our gaming channel ideas dashed. let's just bang action figures together in videos.
You should be okay for some, so long as are clear to claim. If you go on YouTube, you have to put like the official license holders. Like you'll have to get Toei and the year that it was registered. You have to put all this stuff in the description of your videos. Because if you don't have things like that, then you are essentially busted.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, that's that topic. I think today we've managed to cover Toku, movies,
face setting,
video games.
European law.
It's quite a melting pot.
This one, yeah.
Quite a long cast as well. This is one of our longest ones we've done.
I'm half expecting you to just cut it all down, cut out everything I say, and just.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's all just Will's dialogue, all 5 minutes of it.
I'm not even going to be here. Well, like actually, you're gonna cut me out. It's just going to be Jeremy.
We're doing like it's like Soviet propaganda. We're just airbrushing the bad things out.
Yes, that's going to be wonderful. I think we've covered everything we need to cover. So
this brings our podcast to an end. It's been fun talking with the lads from Toku Toy Store. This is Rex signing off. Stay fabulous.
Keep on riding, folks.